All right, and we are live. Uh-oh. Did you freeze?
Yeah, you did too.
Oh, okay. We're back. We're live.
All right. All right. Technical difficulties. Man, that's crazy. Hey, welcome in everybody. So it's crazy because when I was at the store earlier today, they were having problems with their scanners there too. And
Oh, really?
yeah, and so I think it's just like something that's happening right now. So whether it's solar flares or whatever, like electronics just aren't working the best right now.
Well,
Um,
I mean, I have a love-hate relationship with technology in general, but we do have that like big old huge freaking asteroid that's coming in that's supposed to orbit us for a couple of weeks. So I'm curious about
oh,
like
maybe that's it,
what
right?
that's doing. Like,
Right.
yeah, maybe it's like
Well, it's like
screwing with our signals.
because at our store, you have to like they have stuff that's on sale, but if
Mhm.
it's like if you scan the digital coupon, then you can get it for even cheaper.
Oh.
And yeah, so I did that, which I did it yesterday for the same thing, and then it was freaking soda. So I'll just tell myself it was soda, So
Caffeine.
I got caffeine yesterday, right? And so I was like, well, it's on sale still, so I'm just gonna go back and get another one. Well, so I went and grabbed a couple of them, and then when I rang them up, it wouldn't give me the discount, and I'm like, but like you can use this up to 5 times. The sign's still up. So then I told the lady, I'm like, hey, I was like, it's doing this. And like she grabbed my phone and she like looked at it to try to figure it out. And she's so I owe you $3. And I was like, yeah, sure. And she goes, okay, here. It took $3 off of it, which is what it was. But she goes, these machines have been doing this to us all day long. I'm not fighting with it. I'm not even dealing with it. I just go with the flow. I can't handle it.
Great.
And I
It's
was
like
just like, I like you. Like that's the energy I like. You're just like, fuck it. Like it is what it is, right? Like
it's crazy that we become like so dependent on it that when it's not
yeah,
working, we're like, ah,
right.
no.
Which in a big way is how confident are you? Right? Because when like with her, she was just confident enough to be like, fuck it, I'm going with the flow. Like I trust myself. Like I'm confident I can handle this flow. It is what it is. And I'm just gonna work it the way I need it to work rather than going into like this panic mode and being like, oh my God, nothing's working. And then you're panicking. And then the customers are like, oh my
Yeah.
God, this person has no idea what they're doing. They must be new here on the job. Everybody's freaked out. And then everybody's just in a panic of a rush. Like we've seen that. Like we've
Well,
seen both play out, right?
and big systems like that, I'm sure they have technological glitches and issues all the time. Like
Oh, for sure. Well,
nothing works perfectly all the time.
no, no. Well, and what's crazy is like our store is like the main ownership of the store is Kroger, but it's Fred Meyer's is what it is. But on the
Okay.
East Coast, it's a Kroger. And
Oh.
so yeah, and so their mother, like the mother, uh oh man, I can't think of it, but like the mother office of everything, of everything, the head office, the headquarters. That's the word I was
Oh,
looking for.
headquarters. Yeah, okay.
I'm like, it's a simple word, Josh. Like, let's
It's
find it.
the
It's out here
mothership.
somewhere. Beat me up, right? So,
Let's just
um,
pray the Vulcans find us first. I was
yeah,
talking about that earlier with a friend, and we were having the UFO conversation. And I'm like, just pray it's the Vulcans first and not the Borg. Like,
like I'll gladly go with you. I've seen how this turns out. I like it,
right?
right? Man, so like everything done on the East Coast. Well, like what I've ran into so many times is a lot of times like the discounts don't work. Their app is as crap over here. And I've talked to the employees and they're like, yeah, go to the East Coast and everything works great. It works how it should, but they never update anything over on the West Coast. So what's crazy is Kroger's now trying to buy out Albertsons and Safeway. I don't know if you heard about that. So
No,
yeah,
God, I haven't shopped at Albertsons since I was like, oh my God, I think like 10 years old. There was an Albertsons around the corner from my grandparents' house, and that's where they used to go shopping. And I haven't even seen an Albertsons since like my teenage years. Like they're just gone
yeah,
over
we used
here.
to go there to get they were good for birthday cakes. That was it. Um, But Albertsons bought out Safeway a long, long time ago. Well, now
Okay.
Kroger's trying to buy out Albertsons, which will give them ownership of Albertsons and Safeway. Well, the government right now is suing Kroger to prevent it from happening because it'll create a monopoly. Because we only have two grocery stores here in town, Safeway and Fred Meyer's. So if Kroger owns Safeway and Fred Meyer's, they basically own each actual grocery store in our town.
I mean, if we're worried about monopolies, like that's kind of out the window already because we have like Amazon and like
Right, right.
all those
But
all those other companies that like
I was
yeah,
looking at like hamburger today and I saw 1 pound for 20.99 for a pound of hamburger.
$20 for a pound of hamburger.
Yeah, the cheapest you can get it here is like 8, $9 for a pound.
Yeah. See, we don't we quit eating red meat so often. Like we do chicken and like ground turkey instead because
Yeah, like we're kind of the same way, and I was just curious about prices, and I would, I'm like, when I'm at the store, I get real curious, even if stuff I don't eat, of just like,
yeah.
what are things going for? Out of curiosity, of like what the economy is doing,
The
you
economy does
know?
not inspire confidence right now.
No, and
Confidence is our gig tonight. But to be
right?
completely honest,
No,
how confident are we in the state of things, really? Nah.
well, not really. Like, well, and then this makes perfect sense with our self confidence anyway. So it's like we've been vegetarians for years now.
Mhm.
Well, lately, like myself and our son have been like craving meat. So it's like trying to like, okay, obviously my body wants protein, so I'm gonna like kind of bring it back in, but not a lot. And I don't really do red meat unless it's like hamburgers, and that's just very rare. So
Yeah.
when we first started eating it, I was like, well, let's get some chicken. And I was like, I'll make something with chicken, right? So
Yeah.
now, mind you, I haven't bought meat in like 3, 4 years now. So I go to look at it and I'm like shocked by the price alone, but
Oh
then
yeah.
I see a pack and it has like 4 or 5 pieces in it and it was like $5 and I was like, "Oh, okay." I didn't pay too close attention to the detail. So I get home and I open it up and it was like, "Oh, this is like a pound of chicken. This is like one chicken breast cut into 5 thin slices." And I was like, "So this stuff is going for like $5 a pound now?" Like, which is like insane for chicken.
It's crazy. It's
Yeah.
crazy. We get lucky because my husband works for a food production company, and so we get like company discount on products and stuff. So
Oh,
we
nice.
buy in bulk.
I mean, right? Like, take advantage of perks when you have them. I mean, what's the
Yeah.
whole point of having perks in a job if you don't use them?
Yeah, no, use those perks, people. Like,
For real.
especially
Like,
now, they're there for a
so
reason.
talking about confidence, when I was younger, I wouldn't actually capitalize off of those perks because I was not confident enough to speak up to ask for them or to be like, "Hey, like, I want to use
Yeah,
this." I kind of just hid back a little bit because I was just not confident myself to speak up. And so I missed out on, a lot of things that could have actually improved my life a lot easier along my journey
yeah,
if I had just like said, forget it. Like I do now. Now I'm like, oh, you got a sample over there? I'll give it a shot. Or, oh, we got a discount? I'll take it. Or like what's
yeah,
going on over here? Like I show up. It doesn't mean I have to take. It doesn't mean I have to, indulge in everything, but I can at least go look at it and put myself kind of on the outside of the experience to be like,
yeah,
hey, like what's going on in here? Oh, cool. I'm gonna hang out for a little bit because I want more of this, right? And when you start becoming more comfortable and confident inside yourself, you allow yourself to be, vulnerable enough to go into those kind of situations and just be free to be out there and not worry about being judged.
yeah,
So,
yeah. No, I worked at a couple places. Like I worked at a restaurant, and so I got discounts on like the menu items, and that was how I fed myself dinner because it was cheaper. Or like I worked at Target, so I got at the time you got like a 5-10% discount or something at the time,
Right.
as a Target employee. So like I used to use that discount, but beyond that, like I did not network. I did not use connections. I did like
Yeah.
no faith in myself, no faith in humanity. This is me on my own, and that's all I got. Like,
Right. When I was talking to my mom earlier today, and we were just I was kind of reminiscing on the past, and how it was when I was 18, and having 18, 19, I had well by 19 I had two like brand new babies. One was like a year old, and the other one was just born.
yeah,
Because my two oldest are born the same day, a year apart.
that's
So yeah, and one was in 99 and the other one was in 2000 even. So, like, it was that huge like, it was cool, like,
they're like
Y2K
they're
babies, right?
bi-millennial babies.
Yeah, and they acted like twins so hard for, like, their whole entire life,
Well, I mean, that's what they
and
call Irish twins, is when you have kids that are like a year apart or born within a year of each other. My
yeah,
two youngest, they're technically a few months over the like timeline for Irish twins, but uh, I understand now why God sent them to me separately, because
right?
together it would have been
I
a
could
circus.
not, for real. Oh, I know, I'm so thankful,
they're,
like,
they're so fun.
Carly told me I was either last night or the night before. She goes, "Dad." Oh, Oh, no, it was earlier today, so it was after this conversation that I was having with my mom because I was talking about, just, like, how it was in my first when I was married, first marriage, right, and how it was
Mhm.
and what I went through, and at, like, 18, 19, like, I was telling her, I was like, "I'm actually thankful that I worked for fast food back then because I myself was, like, in a position where, I just graduated high school, I'm trying to support 2 kids, I'm 19 years old, and it's like
Yeah.
you didn't have the money to just go out and go buy groceries and all these other things, right? And you're
It's
also not
hard.
the most responsible either, I'll be honest, you know?
Well, I mean, you're still a
Y
baby yourself at that age, like.
Yeah, right? And so, like, I was just telling her, like, I was so thankful for it because I would be able to bring home food. Like, I'd worked
Mhm.
at Subway, and it was like, I'd be able to bring home a sub sandwich, and, like, when
Nice.
I worked at Pizza Hut, I'd bring home pizza or the mistakes, and,
Yeah.
it was just like, I was thankful because if it wasn't for me being in that position, I wouldn't have, I don't think been able to eat or even feed my family those nights, so it
Yeah.
was interesting to reflect on that and just, like, look at the different aspects of, like, the confidence you have in yourself. It's like, are you only confident when your back is against the wall and
Right.
it's just like do or die, or do you wanna have that same drive and confidence, like, all the time as you navigate life, And
I think it's normal to have periods where, like, you feel confident, and then some periods where you don't, because, like, if that leaves room for growth, like, if you're 100% confident in yourself all of the time, like, where do
it's
you have
egotistical, right?
well, yeah. I yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
yeah, I
let's just
can't
be
disagree.
real.
I can't I won't be nice. I can't disagree with that. But then there's the flip side of it where, like, confidence is hard, and it's like that fear to fly, that fear
Yeah.
to jump out there and put yourself beyond, like, um what or feel like capable of, and that typically starts in childhood, like, um you know trauma, parenting style, if you were bullied. I mean, we talked about how awful, like, bullying can be last
Yeah.
time. And then just being, like, different and odd, and if you don't fit into the majority, then you get ostracized, and that can, like, be a serious confidence hit too.
Yeah. No, for sure. And, if you can build the self confidence in yourself or honestly, even within your children, then, because the internet is a very unstable place. and it's a
Yeah.
very delicate place. But if you can build self-confidence, and not how your child is like, oh, you're beautiful, and you don't want to build them up on the physical nature of it, but you want to
Mhm.
build them up on their strengths and who they are and their authenticity and just like their core of a being. And
Yeah.
that's what you want them to be confident with. So that way, because you and I both have experienced this,
Oh,
because
yeah.
like when I go live, you have trolls come in. And
Oh, yeah.
the thing is, I let our
I've
youngest
I've, uh,
watch.
I've mouthed off to a few of yours.
Right? And I feel like I handle them really well.
You do.
And
I
she
have to say, like, I admire the way that you handle people that come in and act stupid and bigoted, and yeah, like, I'm like, "Kudos, bro, kudos, get 'em." Like
right? And it's in a such a respectful way, and like Carly's been watching the lives lately. She's actually been modding for us,
Oh, that's
crazy
so
enough.
cool!
And yeah, and like, she's so smart. She throws out things out there that, like, I'm like, you're so aware. But it's like when those trolls come in, she sees how I handle them, and she sees how it doesn't affect me and it doesn't rock me and it doesn't change my energy at all.
Right.
And that's the thing that I love. It's like, okay, watch this, learn from this, like, see how you can handle it. Because yeah, words are words, and how powerful words can hurt people, but also
Oh,
that somebody sends them your way. I don't want them.
yeah, yeah.
So
And like, I think online, it's it's easier to, um oh, I'm looking for words here. It's easier to get your confidence, like, jarred, because people can be like really cruel and really blatant and like attacking online, because there's that
yeah,
safety of you're sitting behind a screen, and like you don't actually have to like challenge or like defend what you're saying, really, because you can type anything in the box and click, it's done,
yeah,
whatever. But and it's harder when you're in person. And then I think it's harder also learning to balance like in-person interactions versus
yeah.
online interactions, and how do you stay confident in yourself when everybody's putting on this, like, show? Because honestly, like, do we really, how often do we really air our vulnerabilities to other people, either online or offline? Like, we
Too
don't.
much,
We always
honestly.
put
Either
the
not enough or
the
too much.
best picture forward.
Yeah, it's either one or the other extreme, right?
Mhm.
It's either not like it's completely fake either way. It's like I'm showing that like I'm on a yacht, but in reality I'm standing in my bathtub, and the other and then the other one is just like, oh, poor me, I'm sinking in my bathtub. Please shower me with free stuff and money because I'm such a victim of the world pulling me under.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like that perspective. Like, it's literally perspective, and that's what confidence is. Self-confidence is like your perspective on yourself, not your perspective on what others are judging you on, because this world is going to judge you. It doesn't matter how
Yeah.
beautiful this world is. Others are going to want what you have just as much as you want what others have. The difference is people like you and I, and like those that resonate with us and where they're at, they know, yes, I want what you have energetically. I'm willing to put in the time, energy, money, and effort to get to that level.
Yeah.
Where others that we have to be careful in our life, they want what we have, but unfortunately, their morals aren't the same because they don't have confidence in themselves. And so they're willing to be a shyster, and try to pull it from underneath you, like like pulling the rug from underneath you, right?
Yeah.
So it's being aware, like within your own self, and being confident in like the strengths that you have, so you can see the difference between the two that are in your life. Because if
Yeah.
you have people that are at your same energetic level, which I'm sure you see in the church a lot, because it's like a community, right?
Yeah.
So you guys see each other in the aspect that um, you see that everyone is putting in their part, their time, their effort, and their energy into the same goal, essentially, that you are,
Yeah.
which is just that self stabilization, the family life, taking care of yourself, but still being there for your community.
Yeah.
And so you can weed out who's pulling, who's taking, who's like toxic, the weed killers in your garden,
Yeah.
and taking out the tomatoes, essentially, right?
Yeah. No, my church, I have been in church communities where it was very cliquish. But I would say that my church community right now, the ward that I've been in for the last several years, like it's awesome. It's one of those little communities that you can walk into and it doesn't matter if you're tatted up, have piercings, have colored hair, like whatever.
Right.
They're just going to accept you as another human being trying to figure out, what they're going to do with their lives and what their ultimate goals are going to be, and that sense of community is really amazing. There's been several times that the members of our church have stepped up to help us out. Like there was one year, gosh, we weren't even going to be able to afford like any kind of Christmas, and somebody in the ward heard about it, and like we had members buy presents for our kids and drop them off, and some of these people spent like hundreds of dollars on our kids so that they would have Christmas presents. Or like when I had to take my son to surgery in Sacramento, like we had people providing dinners so that like my husband wouldn't have to worry about working and cooking, while I was gone
That's awesome.
for a week. And
Yeah.
having people around like that, it really does help you build up your confidence, especially if um, you're someone who struggles with confidence. I would not call myself a confident kid. I really struggled with that. I was the weird one. I was the outcast. I was the one that had all of these like issues. Everybody, and I just like my confidence in my ability to achieve anything just took a nosedive really early on. And it's been quite a road to reverse that and start
Yeah.
like taking that back from myself. Even now, I'm still like, oh, can I really do this? No, no, don't say
Right.
that. Shut up. Yes, you can. Like.
For real. And that the thing to remember too, it's like you could be confident in in almost all parts of your life, but you could still have certain parts of it that aren't so confident, right?
Yeah.
Like communication with your partner, whether it's
Hmm.
about whether it's about like intimacy or needing time together, or whatever it is, you might not feel confident on how to approach them. But that doesn't mean you can't be confident in other parts of your life. It just means that I need to be a little bit more aware of how I can become more confident in this area.
Yeah.
And when we can start recognizing like those pieces that we're missing, that's the voids that we try to fill with other people, whether it's
Yeah.
a friendship or a relationship or whatever, right? And so when we ourselves can start diving into that level of finding, okay, how do I become confident in this way? Because it's like I can be confident with somebody who's I don't feel is going to judge me, but if I feel like this
Yeah.
person might judge me, I lose my confidence, and so
Yeah.
when I saw the thing on the title that said the fear to fly, right?
Yeah.
And that's what you put down, and I thought, okay. I sat back and I'm like, I'm gonna think about this. Like, what does this mean to me, right? And I didn't want to do any research yet, and I just wanted it to I wanted spirit to let it come in from the spirit, really.
Hmm.
And I even asked them today to help me kind of come to this space that I would have what I need to speak about this topic, and I tend to do that quite a bit, actually. But
Yeah.
when I was sitting there about the fear to fly, this came through, and it was, and I think you saw the post I made about it, but it was judgment of thyself through others' eyes, which is usually what keeps us from
Yeah.
actually like being who we are, and it keeps us from loving what we do, right? So it keeps us from being confident. But this keeps us from feeling free to fly because we all want to fly. We all
Mhm.
want to fly in our life. We want to just feel free. We want to feel the wind in our hair. We want to just not feel tied down to anything. And like that's our goal, whether it's financial freedom, emotional freedom, you
Yeah.
know, whatever it may be, physical freedom. Like everybody's struggle is different because we came here to experience something completely different. Um, and then the last part was soar above the world with
Mm.
our own perspective.
Mhm.
And that's what's important is we are confident enough to be able to see it from our perspective and be able to be confident enough that when somebody challenges our perspective, we don't feel that we have to jump into argumentative mode, but we can literally approach it in an aspect that we are letting them know, like, this is how I see it. And if they
Mhm.
don't want to see it that way, that's fine. But I can turn around and walk away. And that doesn't mean I'm wrong. It just means I'm confident enough to know that my perspective means this to me. It doesn't matter what it means to you. You asked me, you don't want to hear it. Like, that's fine. I'm not going to get offended by it because I'm confident in myself to know this is what I believe in.
Yeah.
Now, somebody who's confident is gonna listen to somebody that's opposing them, and they're gonna listen to what they have to say. Why? Well, because that's how we learn. That's how we challenge ourselves. And the thing is, the most critical people are the ones that are so contradictory towards themselves because they're constantly challenging their own beliefs.
Mhm.
And they're constantly listening to others and saying, I okay, I can see your view, but let me go do some, let me think about it, let me meditate on it, let me explore it, let me see this perspective and see if I can see it through your eyes. And does it fit my belief? Does it fit my modality? If it does, awesome. If it doesn't, well, I'm glad that you believe that way. I'm glad that it's working for you. I wish you the best of luck.
Well, and I think that that communication piece, like that's the important part. Is like if you're confident and comfortable with who you are in whatever situation you're in, like good or bad, then it's you're open to hearing someone else's perspective, and like listening to someone else's perspective and someone else's experience doesn't mean that yours is like wrong, or it just means that your reality, your experiences have brought you to look at things in a specific way, and so have theirs. And like your perspectives don't have to necessarily agree, but how are we going to learn from each other and continually like expand our understanding and our perception if we're not willing to have those conversations about like, well, this is what life looks like to me, and
Yeah.
and vice versa. And I feel like um I feel like that's where we get in trouble with like perfectionism, is that wanting to paint the outward picture of having it all together. And like being
Yeah.
confident, it doesn't mean that you're confident 100% of the time, because everybody struggles, everybody has weak moments, everybody has, those moments and events that rise up and you're like, what the actual crap is going on? But it's it's that concept of, that courage isn't not being afraid, it's doing it even though you're nervous and afraid, and being willing
Yeah.
to take that risk and not letting like failure be the end all definition
Yeah.
of your capability. Like what did they
Right.
say? Thomas Edison like took him 10,000 tries, or I don't know, probably more
Yeah.
like 1,000, but it took him like 1,000 tries to make a light bulb that actually worked, you know?
Yeah.
So
And if
it's
he would have
if he'd
gave
have
up when
given
people
up, yeah.
Yeah, when people are like, "Ah, you're stupid. Why are you still doing that?" Then who knows how long it would have taken for it to evolve,
Yeah, and
you
that's
know?
really something that I try to instill in my kids, because it was such a struggle for me growing up and trying to figure out like who I was and who it was okay to be with everything that I had like going on in my life. And like I know how bad that sucks, and I know how like inhibiting that can be. So like when my kids are frustrated or they come across something, that they're struggling with, I'm like, that's okay. It just means you have more time to get better at it. Like there's nothing wrong
Yeah,
with you. There's nothing wrong with who you are. You may not be everybody's flavor. That's okay. We're not all supposed to be vanilla. There's where Baskin
exactly.
Robbins has 31 flavors for a reason. All right.
People want choices.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
and I tell them all the time, I'm like, it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks of you and your
Mm-mm.
capabilities and your dreams and your goals. If you are confident in yourself and the things that you're going after are important enough to you, then you're going to
Yeah.
make it, and everybody else's opinion doesn't matter.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. What's crazy is, at one point, like, I can reflect back on many times throughout my own life and see where, like, I was really confident in my journey, and then I could see where I was, like, not confident, like, very much in my journey, and also how, my environment or my own personal energy itself was really, reflective of that.
Mhm.
And so for me, I came into this, I like human design, right? And so I was talking with Amara earlier, and we were talking about human design, and I was explaining to her that one of my gates in my spleen is about not being ready or feeling like inadequate. And
Imposter syndrome.
yeah.
Oh my god. I
And
get
so it's like,
imposter syndrome so bad.
it's like something I have to be aware of, and it's not that I don't trust myself, and it's not that I'm doubting myself, or it's not that I feel like, "Oh, like, is this real?" Because like, I have full confidence in myself 100%. So, like,
Yeah.
that's not even my problem. My issue is, and I I'm so nervous and hesitant to even start, to just, like, "Okay, I'm confident knowing this is where I'm going, like, I'm gonna jump into this," like, hitting that start button, that go live button, like,
Yeah.
that was, like, the biggest struggle, but it's like once I do it,
Well,
it's
my
just like
stomach still flips a little bit every time we click that button. I'm like, "All right, here we go."
I'm instantly like, "It's showtime."
Right?
For me, that it's that switch, and so
Mhm.
what I put this connection together earlier, and I was like, "Oh," I was like, "Is that why I was really unconfident a lot of times um, in my past?" Because, and I didn't know this, but, like, that not being feeling of, like, not being ready is
Mhm.
gonna give me such a lack of confidence in everything I do, and so I'll hesitate. And what's crazy is, being a splenic authority, I'm supposed to listen to my intuition and make decisions in the moment.
Yeah.
But if I'm having to battle myself of feeling like I'm not ready, but my fucking gut's saying, "Yeah, you are," but then my ego's like, "No, I'm not." And I'm like, literally have each one on the
Oh,
shoulders, and I'm like, "Oh my," it's like that makes so much sense. Like,
stupid
I
ego.
get it
Just shut up
now,
and go
right?
away. Like
So it's like
I can I can relate to that though, because I do that like am I ready thing, and I always feel like I'm not. There's always something that tells me like, oh, I just need to get better at this one thing, and then I'll be okay to
yeah,
like go ahead. And I've had to learn like over the past several years that you're never ever going to be entirely ready for any endeavor that like you go after. Like I
yeah,
went to graduate school to get my teaching credential, and like school I'm good at. Like I'm a stellar student when I have the brain power and the stamina that I used to have. I'm a lot slower of a learner now just because it takes me more time to get through it and absorb. um but like I was confident in my ability to do the schoolwork, but then when it was time to shift from being in the classroom to managing a classroom, like I panicked a little bit because I was like, no, 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 I need more, I need more, I need more. Gosh, even parenting, like I was so ready to be a parent, and then I had my baby laying in my arms. I was like, oh crap, I am not ready. Like I don't.
Right?
And I've gotten to this place where I'm like, okay, I may not feel ready, but I just have to remind myself that like every new venture comes with a learning curve. And I, as an individual, have a pretty steep learning curve. I'm pretty good at like, even when I have zero confidence in myself, jumping in and figuring it out and getting it done. And then on the other side of it, I'm like, oh, I'll be damned, I could do it.
Right? And whether it's like a relationship, new job, just whatever adventure it is in life that you might just be starting out with, or maybe your current job just isn't fulfilling you anymore, and you're like, I need something new. But even the daunting thought of going somewhere else, it kicks into your mind like, oh, I have to start somewhere fresh. Nobody knows me. Start from the bottom. And so you start losing that confidence and that drive to make that change in your life, even though it's for the
Yeah.
better. But if you just trust yourself and have the confidence, because, and saying, yeah, I can do this, you know, I can figure it out. It's not starting from the bottom, it's starting new. And when we
Yeah.
give ourselves that opportunity to just go into something new with the confidence that we can handle it. We're going to work through it. We're going to make this happen. We can see a fresh start, and we can see where we can leave the old us behind and take the
Mhm.
new confident us into this new journey, which is a beautiful journey because it'll provide way more for ourselves. You
Yeah.
know, that's like when uh, I was leading into something actually, and then I sidetracked myself because I'm a master of distraction. That's in my human design too, master of distraction, and I'm a master storyteller.
I just get
Um,
squirrel brain. I'm like, "Ooh, shiny," and I chase the conversation down the hole.
right? It's like, oh, let's go. So, so when I've gone through my ups and downs, I when I was like first going live and I was first like trying to come into like where I am now, right?
Yeah.
I was very confident in myself in a certain aspect of it. And I was doing really well. Like I had like things were flowing actually very well energetically with through like the live streams and like the abundance that was coming in, the flow that our
Yeah.
family had. Like it was really good. And then we like dissipated, and it really kind of it changed a lot. And we weren't being as abundant and as attracted when it came to just everything. We lost a lot um, we were out for like 4 months, but we lost a lot of
Yeah.
traction, and so we're trying to come back into it, and it's just like figuring out, okay, like what was working for us back then
Yeah.
that was like attracting that magnetism, and then what dissipated off, and it was like part of it was the confidence, but I saw where I was trying to change things in a direction that it like just wasn't supposed to go. Like it was a direction that it felt less and less aligned the more I was taking it. But I
Yeah.
realized I wasn't showing up like authentically. I wasn't being me. I wasn't following my design, and so I was like, dang. And when I started digging back into it again, I was like, okay. I was like, so here's the answers I'm looking for. Here's the direction I'm looking for. I was like, this makes more sense. And so when I had that click, that aha moment,
Yeah.
and because I've been really reading a lot about like the centers and the gates and the human design, and I've just been like, that makes so much sense of where I am on my journey right now. And so the lives Sherry and I have been like reverted back to the way that it was when we were in Florida. And it was just like the storytelling, the showing up and all of those
Yeah.
things, and just the authenticity of it and the transparency, and it started flowing. And because I really love it and you've seen it, when we're on the live and we're just talking, and
We're
then
just
somebody just,
having conversations, yeah,
yeah, and then
and then
somebody,
somebody'll say something and it, like, shifts it, but the shift ends up being, like, really
yeah,
positive and everybody gets something out of
right.
you
And
know,
then
what's
people just
said.
pop and then people will pop in and be like, "Hey, are you doing readings tonight?" "Yeah, we are." And then we just go into a reading and then back into
Mhm.
conversation, right? So it was like that flow again, and it was like, man, it's like, okay, this feels good. It feels more aligned to what we were doing, and to me, it just like gives me that more feeling of success, which is my self theme, And so it's like I'm telling you, human design is it's gold. Like it's everything.
I've only learned a little bit about it talking with you guys about it, but it's definitely intriguing. I'm like, oh, interesting.
I have learned so much about myself. I have learned so much about Sherry, which has made our relationship 1,000 times better. And we have also learned so much about our children that we now know how to parent each one of them individually and realizing, like, oh, like, how when children play parents against each other to get their own way?
Yes.
So
I
we now
usually
see.
catch that pretty early on and go, ah, ah, ah.
Yeah, yeah. Like, we see the deeper part of it of like, okay, I caught you, but now their HD is that little bit of insight that gives you the root of why you're doing this. And
Yeah.
so it's like, oh, I can combat this at this level rather than just like continuously putting the band-aid on it. We're going to just go patch the boat and show you how this in your life can really lead to a lot of bad choices and bad decisions and emotions just flying everywhere.
Yeah.
Or you can use this gate in this perspective of it, and you can create so much more love, attraction, and abundance in your life if you utilize it the right way. It's a tool, right?
Mhm.
And the thing is, here's the kicker. This is my recommendation for you. These are the two choices that you can make. But you know what? It's your life. You have
It's
free
up to
will.
you. Yeah.
You have
Like
free will. Do what you want with it.
these are your options. You can make your
Mhm.
choice, but the
Yeah.
consequences are yours as well, good, positive,
Yeah.
or negative.
And that's
Yeah.
what I've been getting with my clients lately too. We're like doing the readings online on the live. It's like when people are coming through and we had one like it was just victim mentality, and you've seen those. They're just like, yeah, but this, yeah, but that, and just like excuse after excuse, And then at the end,
I have been mired neck deep in victim mentality multiple times over the course of my life, even within like the last like year and a half, because like,
yeah,
I've had so many health struggles, and that's taken my confidence in myself as new and growing as it is. It took a serious hit when my health kept getting worse and worse and worse and worse, because I was just like, well, I've already had to give up on so many of my dreams. How many more am I going to have to get rid of, or do I
yeah,
just face the fact that maybe I'm not as capable as I think I am, and I just accept the way things are. And
right,
it's that feeling of like everything's against me, nothing's going to work out. Am I being punished? Why is everything, going wrong? And then, I finally get an answer. It was it wasn't the answer I was looking for. It was a very frightening answer. But like, I got diagnosed with lupus in the last couple of months, and I'm like, okay, this is a major like perception shift. Yeah, I'm still angry. Yeah, I'm scared. Yeah, I'm upset. This is really hard to deal with, but I have a choice. Like, I either work with my doctor and try to improve myself and decide, like which of the dreams I'm still capable of going after, baby step after baby step, with the health concerns that I have, or do I just give up and lay down and let myself like
yeah,
literally die? And I was just like, no,
yeah,
I'm not done yet. I may still have some things that I have to give up on and let go, but I'm far from done.
yeah. Well, and having that mentality honestly really prolongs your being here because you have the free will choice. Like, you can either tell the universe, I'm done with everything that I've wanted to accomplish in life, so I'm just going to lay here and allow this to consume me. or you can tell the universe, I'm not done yet, and I'm going to continue working through this until I feel that I just can't do this anymore, or I'm ready to just
Oh
essentially
yeah.
lay that sword down, right?
I have so much more of life that I want to see, that I want to do, that I want to experience, and be
Yeah.
there for my kids and my grandkids. And if I'm doing that from a wheelchair, I don't care. At least
Right.
at least I'm there and I got wheels to go with it, you know?
And that's the confident self. It's like when you're younger, or even when you're in parts of your life, it doesn't even have to be younger, but when you're in like times of your life where you're not very confident, and then there's times in your life where you are very confident, you know, but the times that you're not confident and you're having like experience after experience, and you're like,
Mhm.
man, I see like there's a pattern in every one of these, and like I feel it, and it's like people keep telling me the same thing, the same answers, like, but I just don't see it. Like it's hard for me to see.
Mhm.
And it's just like you don't take the recommendation, or they don't take the recommendation, like whoever it is, right? But it's like when you're not confident, you can't see what the common denominator is in the problem.
Yeah.
But when you're confident in yourself, you can literally stop and be like, all right, so what's the common denominator in here? And the difference in the two is a confident person will point towards themselves and
Yeah.
ask themselves, am I the problem? Like, am I legitimately the issue in here? And you're like, oh, looks like I am. So time for me to change this. But somebody who's not confident, they're just going to be like, okay, who's the problem? And they're going to
Yeah.
point and point and point and point, because there has to be an answer, and it can't be me. And,
And you're looking outward,
mhm,
not inward. I think that's a really easy trap to fall into, especially when there's like fear of failure or the expectation of perfectionism. Like it's like putting blinders on. It seriously
yeah,
narrows your perspective and your ability to look at both your internal world and your external world objectively and without judgment
yeah,
and just like accept where you're at and what you're dealing with and how to like move forward with it. And I think that's
right.
really hard. I know for me that was a challenging hurdle to start to get over is like okay, when I feel like I have absolutely no confidence in myself, how do I build confidence? How do I build this thing that I don't even believe in? I don't think it exists. Like it's not possible for me. And like it's interesting. You have to like when you're in that position, you have to like trick your brain.
Yeah, because it's easy. It's so easy that you just literally just start doing it,
Yeah,
and
like
the
there's
more you do it, the more you build confidence.
right. It's like practice makes perfect, fake it till you make it kind of thing. Like
Yeah,
even if you don't feel confident, you can hack your system because your brain
right.
believes whatever you tell it. It doesn't understand the difference between fantasy and reality. Like whatever you're telling it, that's what it has to go on.
Yeah,
So like I even now, like I still have a problem with like slouching. My natural tendency is to kind of curl in on myself, and I have to remind myself, nope, straight back, positive posture. I've got this. Like
yeah,
your posture has a lot to do with your feelings about it because that's like nonverbal communication when you're like hunkering in on
right.
yourself. It's like protective. But if you stand up and you straighten your spine out, then it's like it takes that self-imposed
Yeah, it's like
barrier
that
away.
confidence, right? Like you're sitting with confidence,
Yeah.
standing with confidence. It's like
Yeah.
if you break confidence down to like video games, even when you play a brand new video game, you're not very confident in the very beginning of it because you're learning the controls, you're getting familiar with it, whether it's a character or car, whatever the adventure is, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like you don't have confidence, and so you don't always make it to the end on the first try.
Oh no.
And so you have to build confidence in yourself on how to navigate each world, each level, each session.
Right.
And life is no different when it comes to that either. It's like you aren't going to build confidence in what you do unless you literally put yourself in a vulnerable position to be laughed at.
Yeah.
And by doing so, you're willing to take the ridicule so you can grow. You don't get upset with it, you don't get ashamed by it, you don't get mad at it, but you take it and you listen to it. You're like, okay, like, you don't like that, obviously. Maybe I can make this different and I'll change it. But is it just one's opinion? Because we also have to take that into consideration. Like, are you just being rude? Are you being crude? Are you just trying to tear me down? Or, like, is this a legitimate, like, could I actually use this criticism to make things better? And so it's like it's about the reflection, the self-reflection, and you have to look at it from a standpoint where the reflection is clear, and
Right.
a standpoint where the reflection is kind of muddied and has the ripples in the water. So that way you can look at everything from all angles. That way, you can make the most out of life through the thick and thin of it all. And you can just improve your own self and be confident in what you do and become really good at what you do when you listen to everyone at every level of it, but don't take it personal either.
Well, and it's that concept of like growth mindset, right? Like if you believe that there is no improvement, there like you've hit your cap, you've bumped into that glass ceiling. Like if you really believe that, then you're right. But if you're willing to like take that blind leap and not be afraid of having to get back up and try a few more times before you're able to like begin to take flight, then that's a completely different mindset and a way of approaching it. In education, there's what we call the ZPD, zone of proximal development. And basically, what it means is that, like, there's the comfort level of what um, a student already knows and has already mastered. And then out here are the things that they haven't attempted yet. And the perfect area to grow is like right in the middle between those two
Yeah.
zones where they intersect, where there's some that they're familiar with, but they're pushing out of that bubble and towards the things that
Yeah.
they're not familiar with yet and being exposed to new thoughts and new paradigms and new experiences. And the way that we talk to ourselves about our capability to go out there and stretch and explore and take risks has a
Yeah.
lot to do with it. And especially like if, you know, anxiety or nervousness gets in your way, because I know it does for me. That's still that's still a big battle for me. But like just, reframing. I mean, I'll even sit down and like do visualizations where I'm like, okay, I'm imagining myself doing this thing at the end, and I'm just going to focus on this is what I'm working for. This is what's waiting for me at the end. And these are just the steps in between that I'm taking one by one, however they fall out. And like
Yeah.
don't it's hard not to. It's hard to like make it okay to screw up and make mistakes, but it's actually like really important because you're feeding into that perfectionism if you don't allow yourself room to screw up and mess up and maybe not do things the way you had planned, but then okay, that's fine, I messed up, moving on, take two.
Right, right. Well, and it's like you can't take somebody from like that's thriving while living like in a jungle and just remove them and throw them into like the Arctic with no like warning whatsoever and expect them to be confident enough to like in their ability to thrive the same way, right?
Yeah, it's
You know,
totally different
yeah, well, and
survival set.
right, and they might have enough, like, confidence in themselves to, like to literally just survive, and
Yeah.
maybe a few might build in a society to thrive, but not everyone could. But if you allowed somebody to go from the jungle and slowly adapt themselves while slowly introducing the new into their life, then
Yeah.
they would definitely become versatile and be able to survive or thrive in either environment, right? Which is a lot the same of like with whether we learn in life or whether we're trying to advance into something new or new growth in our own personal self. Yeah, if you just dive into something, you're gonna struggle having full confidence in yourself because there's a lot to take on.
Yeah.
However, you can combat that by reminding yourself that you can handle this. You have the ability to handle this. You're strong enough to do this because you have been through so many experiences in life,
Yeah.
not the exact same, but if you look at it, it's been enough experiences where you have pulled yourself out of the deepest of the darkest of the places in life, and you have brought yourself back up to success in one form or another,
If you're
you
still
know?
alive and breathing, your success rate is 100% because you're still here.
So be confident in yourself that you can work through anything.
Well, and one of the things that really helped me um in the beginning is is kind of similar to the mirror work, where like I was looking in the mirror and trying to find things that I liked about myself, but it was a little bit of a shift because it was like, what am I good at? What are my talents? What are my skills? What are my like natural interests and abilities that I I do better than, anybody else because that's my thing. So it's like writing, crafting, organizing, like all these little things that I'm like, okay, I have skill sets in these things. I am good at these things. That is like a black and white issue. Like, and
Yeah,
so what can I do knowing that about myself to find more things that I am good at and may not recognize or acknowledge, or things that I could be good at, but I haven't tried yet because I've been afraid to try.
right. So I have a recommend book recommendation. So
Ooh,
everybody that's yeah, I know, right? Um,
where's my pen? I like book recommendations.
it's a really good one too. So if anybody is like really starting to just navigate the journey of self-confidence
Mhm.
and of like just being connected to your root chakra, understanding that that's your foundation, that that's your safety, your security, that that's a big part of where you need to be, secure in order to have that greater success in your life. So this book it's a very good book. It's a really short read, honestly. And the way I read, I really read like I take my time. I like to read word for word, and I just like to soak it all in as I read so I just fully understand it. And so it only took me like an hour and a half to read it, so it'll probably take most of you guys like 30 minutes. You'll just be like, "Oh, cool." Um but it's called I Am Worthy, and it's by Catherine Bonney. And she wanted to be a writer when she was younger, and then she life happened and she went through life, and eventually she was talked into sitting down and writing a book, and she wrote a book about affirmations, about I am affirmations that helped
Ooh.
her create success in her life. And it's based off of the material that she wrote during this journey. And so like I said, it's not a very long read, but it is.
That sounds really good though. Like I
Yeah,
love, and I'm one of those, I'm the research geek, so like if it's something that like is research-esque and I'm learning about it, I'll read the book 2 or 3 times while making notes and highlighting and underlining.
right.
Like I
And
go all in. I'm like
it's and it's crazy because it's not like a fast-paced book or like a novel or anything like that. It's just her talking about her journey of coming into connection with I am, and like I am worthy, I am abundant, and just how she incorporated that into her everyday life, which led her to this deeper journey into finding like her version of Jesus and how she connected with, her savior at that point, and how her life truly turned around once she really started believing in herself in that way.
That's
you
really
know.
cool. I
So
want to read it now.
yeah, it's really good. So like,
It was officially on my list.
I got it from our library is where I got it from. So you might be able to find it there.
I'm a snob. I like owning books so I can write in them.
Usually, if I read something, I read it once and I'm done. I that's just how I am. So for me, it's like I'd rather just I
Yeah.
rent it or read it, I give it back.
See, my husband collects DVDs. I collect books.
That's how our oldest is too. She wants to own a bookstore one day. Like she loves
Oh,
books, and yeah,
yes.
she wants to be a writer too. So
Yeah,
it fits her.
that was one of the things that, like, when I was a little kid, people asked me what I wanted to do. Well, before I understood that they were asking me what I wanted to do as a career, they'd be like, "Oh, well, what do you want to do when you grow up?" And I'm like, "Be a mom." You know, that's my aspiration. And then, I got a few years older and I realized, oh, they're asking me what I want to do for a job. And Mrs. Literal, even back then, especially back then. Oh man. But my answer was always, I want to write. I want to be a writer. And I had a few people, including a junior college counselor, that told me, "Oh, well, you can't make a living writing. Most writers teach as their full time job." And I was like, okay, but that means getting up in front of people and talking. It's not really my forte.
I want to be
But yeah,
behind the
but
cover.
then right, but then I gave it a few years and I really thought about it and I was like, okay, teaching wouldn't be a a bad thing because I had some teachers that were really influential for me and changed my life. And as a teacher, I could be that person for someone else, which would mean a lot to me. So I went after, well, first I got a job. I decided I was going to test the waters. I was like, okay, let's see if this is something that I can, like actually do. And so I got a substitute job where I was subbing for the teachers aides and the yard duties and the different stuff, just to get my foot in the door in the classroom and be like, okay, is this something? And I ended up, like, loving it. And then I got pulled in the direction of special education and I loved that even more because I was like, wow, okay, here's a population that I can really make a difference in. And
Yeah.
so, I got into it and I loved it. I was able to teach in my own classroom for 4 years. 4 years feels really short for
Right?
for all the work that I that I put into to getting my credential. But even with the politics and the red tape and everything else, like, I loved being in the classroom. And then when I had to give that up, I was like, well, great. I worked my butt off for this. What do I do now? Like, one more confidence tank. And then,
Yeah.
I had to resign um to because it was bad. I was passing out at work. I was getting sick. Like, it was bad.
Right.
And so I had to resign and then I'm sitting here going, well, what do I do now? I'm going to go crazy if I just sit at home doing nothing all day. And so it gave me that opportunity to, like, reflect back on some of the things that when I was younger, I said I wanted to do. And I fell back and I remembered, oh, yeah, I wanted to write. I have all the time in the world to write now. So,
Isn't it isn't it crazy how when we go through things, like how when you went from working to having to resign, you lost a little bit of confidence in yourself, right?
yeah,
You
I
know,
would say a lot. A
yeah,
lot of confidence.
and when we take a chance on ourselves in a lot of ways, and when it doesn't work out how we anticipated it to or expected it to, it really does tear away a big part of our confidence of
It's
moving forward or continuing with it.
it can definitely inhibit it, if not cripple it for a while.
Absolutely.
Like, I mean, and at that point, if you reach that point where your confidence is in yourself and your abilities has just been like crippled, then the best thing to do is just start from the ground up. Like that's
Yeah.
literally what I had to do. I was like, I've spent the last 8 years working for this credential, and I was able to use it for 4 years. What do I
Right.
do now?
And you
And
can
and I yeah, and I had to like look at it and go, okay, the knowledge and the training and the skill sets and the education and like everything that I brought into that career, like I can still do
yeah.
something with it, even if it's not in the way that I had originally envisioned doing. But it's possible to like, again, what am I good at? What do I know how to do? What am I competent at? And then, you have all these things in front of you and you go, okay, where could this be used now? Because I have to
Right.
find a new arena. And that saying that rock bottom is just good solid ground. I used to hate that saying, but it's really true. I mean, it's
Right.
like when you have that moment where you just feel like totally beat up, what else do? You look around and you start putting the pieces back together and figuring out which way you're going to move forward now.
Well, when you fall off the horse, you gotta jump right back on,
Yeah.
right? And the
My
thing is,
grandpa literally made me do that once and I was so mad at him.
but that's how you keep your confidence, is you don't run from it, right? You take it on. If you give yourself too long in between, then you're gonna lose the confidence and the drive and the
Yeah.
aspiration to keep doing it. But the important thing is when you have that moment when you took a chance on yourself and it's not working out, and you can look back and say, okay, like what's the common denominator in all of this of why it's not working out, and you'll avoid it. I'm gonna be honest with you, you're gonna avoid that answer for a while, because in the end, the common denominator is you, and it's something that you aren't doing or overdoing that is creating this to happen in your life, and it's creating you to lose that confidence because you're not moving forward with it. Whether we're trying to change our style, change our way,
Yeah.
there's just we find those moments, whether it's a bad relationship or a bad job. We lose the confidence in ourself a lot of times within it, and we lose our own independence with it. And unfortunately, we can give our confidence to other people to make decisions for us or to not live independently. And,
Yeah.
that's something that you and I both experienced for a long time, just letting others make decisions in our life for us because we thought that they knew
I felt
best.
completely incapable of running my own life, making decisions, taking care of myself. Like all the experiences and the messages that I received from the time I was little all the way up, and like how I interpreted those things, to me, it meant I was completely incapable. It usually took someone really making me mad for me to fight back. Like I
Yeah.
remember um as a teenager after my suicide attempt, I was in and out of psychiatric programs. My mom was desperately trying to get me help, and I remember the doctors told my mom that I would never graduate high school and I would never mature past the mental age of 15. And I was like, "Oh yeah, watch this." Like it pissed me off because I was like, "Oh, no, 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 no. You don't get to tell me that I'm going to be inhibited forever. Like screw you." And it and it put a fire underneath me. Sometimes you need that fire to you need a little bit of that burn sometimes to get past that sense of avoidance or procrastination. And what I've learned, like for myself, is that a lot of the times when I'm procrastinating or I'm avoiding, it's because there's something I'm afraid of. I'm afraid
Yeah.
of something or an outcome, or there's something that I'm afraid of that's keeping me from trying and going after it. And so I have to like sit there and go, okay, what am I avoiding? What am I afraid of? What am I running from? And how am I going to turn around and prove it wrong?
Right. And that's the one thing too that um I think you like so like you and I both have experienced like going into the relationships that we're in
Mhm.
is we've learned that like we have both discovered no matter how deep you are in a relationship, you're still a very independent person.
Yeah.
You're just sharing this earthly experience with someone else. And we both, because oh yeah, that's what I was gonna tell you. I was at one point in my life that I was so far into just like not. I don't know if I didn't have confidence in myself or I just like didn't really like have a whole lot of regard towards life and life itself. But I was in a part where I was in a relationship where I let them dress me. Like I let them pick my clothes out. They told me,
Mhm.
to wear this and wear that. And even if I didn't like it or didn't feel comfortable, um, it was still like I still did it, but it was just
Yeah.
I let it happen for so long, but obviously it needed to happen, right? So I could learn from it. Um, but when I came out onto the other side of it and had this realization of like, why am I wearing an Abercrombie and Fitch fucking t-shirt right now? you know? And so it was like, I'm done. Like, I am so done. This is not me. I need to go to Spencer's and buy band merch t-shirts. And no,
Hot
this isn't
Topic all the
me.
way. That's
Right?
my mecca. Hot Topic.
Topic is Spencer's, man. I'm not an Abercrombie boy. Like, I
Spencer's,
just,
some of the stuff in Spencer's makes me blush, so I tend to stick to Hot Topic.
fair enough.
But no,
Oh,
I can
man.
relate to that too. In my past relationship, like everything was controlled for me. I didn't pick TV shows, I didn't pick music, I didn't pick food, I didn't pick the clothes I wore. I even, listened to suggestions about how I should cut and style my hair or color it or like all of these
Yeah.
other things. And so like in the beginning of the relationship with my husband, I fell back into that same behavior with him because it was just so natural for me to give all, control to whoever it was that I was trying to be close to and trying to please. And I'm better about it now, but every once in a while my husband still has to remind me, no, you get a say too, you get a choice too, like you pick where we're eating dinner tonight, you pick what movie you want to watch, like we don't just get to
Yeah.
decide and you have to go along with it, like you count too, and
Oh, yeah.
he's
It
amazing that way. He jerks me out of my lovingly jerks me out of my old patterns sometimes because it's hard.
yeah.
You it takes a while to completely like erase those things. And so sometimes I'll get stuck in a rut where I'm being very self-sacrificing and he's like, "Babe, stop it."
Right? It's about giving each other a voice. I mean,
Ask
Sherry
me
does
for
that.
help, tell me what you want to do, sit down
Yeah.
and let me handle it.
Sherry does that to me too. I'll do the same thing, and then eventually she'll be like, "Look, you need to do something for yourself. Like, just
Yeah.
do it." Or if I'm gonna want to order something, I'm like, she's like, "Just order it. Like you do for everybody else. Just so what, right?"
Yeah.
So it's just like having a partner that's like sees that and they see that every part of you, but they don't judge any part of you because they actually want what's best for you and they want your true happiness. Opposed to, it's like somebody. And I'm not saying that everybody's bad that's like this because I've been this way before I changed my perspective. But you can be somewhat selfish in some way or over giving in other ways. And so it's like the way you give and receive and the confidence you have in yourself actually, I think, has can kind of go hand in hand too.
Yeah.
Um, it's I don't know where they were going with that, but
I think that like from my perspective, I mean, it's not a bad thing to like want to be of service and to put others first. It becomes a bad thing when it's at our expense. And I think that that's a whole other area of confidence, is being comfortable enough with yourself and the people that you're interacting with to say, I want this.
yeah, speak up for help, to set boundaries, whatever it
To
is,
ask
right?
for what you need, or even what you want, to be like, like, hey,
Yeah,
I really just want to go see a movie, or let's go get some ice cream, like
right.
even the little like frivolous things, like, yeah, just to say, what do you think about this? I want to go do this.
Yeah, rather than like, it's like, hey, what about this? And then like they just shut it down instantly. And so you
Mhm.
get to the point where you just don't even have the confidence to even bring up a date night or, just
Right.
doing something together. And so it's like, how can I feel comfortable coming to you to say I want to spend time with you if you're constantly rejecting me, putting my ideas down, or, just not even letting me be seen or heard either. So
Right.
it makes it so much harder to approach that other person in your life. And it gets deeper and deeper if you don't allow yourself to start breaking out of that mold and then having that conversation to just be like, hey, like we need to talk, like this something's not working out here.
Yeah, and like we're setting an example for our kids. So, we're teaching because they watch, and we're teaching them, not just confident in my abilities, but confident enough in my importance and my connection and my safety with this person that I can speak up and go, "Hey, I want this. Hey, I need this," and know that I'm going to be heard. Or even if it's a situation where it's like, well, we can't really do that right now, but what if we do this, on this day instead, because we'll have more time, or we'll have more money, or whatever it is that is getting in the way of doing it like right now. But like, you still had the opportunity to at least voice that want or that need,
Yeah,
or that desire. And like, when we create a space like that for our children, where we're not just like encouraging them on their abilities and their potential and their interests, but also on like their wants and needs, and they learn to speak up for themselves, they learn to be confident in saying, hey, you crossed a boundary, or hey, let's go do this, or just
yeah,
speak up for themselves in general.
right. But there's also that fine line, you like teaching them to speak up about things and about boundaries, but like don't be rude and
Right.
don't be disrespectful. It's like you can
Right.
politely tell somebody like there's a boundary here, but you don't make somebody feel like crap because they crossed a boundary they didn't know was there even.
Yeah, and that's
You
kind of
know,
the place that we're at with our Irish twins, is they are very comfortable speaking up for themselves. But I often have to go, okay, can you say that again, but in a more kind and respectful manner,
yeah,
because you can speak up for yourself, and you can say what you need to say, but you don't need to be rude or antagonistic, or like mean about it. Like, that
exactly,
matters.
exactly. Which is
Usually they'll roll their eyes at me and go, fine, and then they'll say it again. I'm like, not quite there.
uh,
Try it one more time.
right?
That's when they really get mad at me. I'm like, no, 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 no.
Which is a perfect jumping point into us going. So next episode on October 10th, we're going to be talking about self-esteem and self-worth.
Yes.
So that I think that's a really good example of that, right? Because you are building up people's self-esteem and their own self-worth, but we also have to teach them that, we have to respect others'
Right.
self-esteem and self-worth also. See the value in them. And it's like just because they see themselves maybe at a lower value doesn't mean
Yeah.
you have to see them at that same value either. You don't
Right.
have to treat them that way. So, if you guys have grandchildren, children, or even yourself that's navigating this, stop by on October 10th while we dive into more about self-esteem and self-worth. I'm going to see if I can dig up some more human design information when it comes to this.
That would be cool.
So, yeah, if you guys are interested, do me a favor, go to Genetic Matrix or I think Jovian Archive. You can just go to Google and just type in free human design chart. It'll take you where you need to go because Google's cool like that. Um, and you'll just need your date of birth, time of birth, and place of birth.
It's like a
And
combination of it's like a combination of like astrology and like Chinese Tao something. It's like the culmination of several different like
it's
systems,
I
right?
want to say like I want to say it was like 7 different modalities it takes after. But it's like the chi. I can't remember off the top of my head. It's been a while since I've looked back into the history. But it does connect with your in some ways with like your chakra system,
Mm,
but it's different because the centers are different placements than the chakras, and they're also a little bit different as well. But it kind of goes hand in hand with that energy too of like the root energy, the sacral, the solar plexus. But there's like a spleen in there, G center, the ajna, and the crown.
yeah.
Um, and it talks about how like you have open centers, closed centers, and like for me, I have an open head center, which means like the world inspires me. I'm inspired, and this will make sense because, and especially for those that have listened to me or have followed me for a while, um, I'm inspired by the world, and so the world itself is my essential playground for my content
Mm,
of whatever I'm creating. And so with an open head center, like I don't even have a gate defined in my head center. And so it's completely open. So like all of my like stand-up jokes, all of my inspirations for my lives, my content for like what do I research, what do I look into, what's going on in this world. And the thing is me being A, the master of distraction, B, a master storyteller allows my all that to come in and influence me and allows me to create these stories of life and experiences in a way that helps guide others to their divine path. The thing is I have to be very aware of this because I have to know, is this me that I'm feeling or is this something else in the world that I'm feeling?
mm,
So I have to be able to distinguish between the two. But me knowing I have an open head center, me knowing my emotions, I can easily be like, that's not me. I wasn't feeling that a second ago. This
yeah.
isn't me. This is just part of this experience. Whoever this is, I hope you get a handle on that because, wow, that's some energy you got going there.
Yeah.
So
I've
it's
had a few experiences like that. I get I get what you're saying. Like I'm fine one moment, and then somebody else is having a hard time, and they walk into the room, and like
yeah,
their presence is just like, and I'm like,
right.
whoa,
So
cool down.
quick story before we bail out. I had to go to the DMV to renew my driver's license the other day, and it's always a
The
an
DMV.
adventure. Yeah. And I went in and there was only 3 people in there. It wasn't bad actually, and there was like 3 people working. It was way different. We have to renew our license every 8 years. And
8 years.
so
Mine's
yeah,
4.
Arizona it's 60 till you're 65 years old and then you have to get a new one. Yeah, when I got mine at 17 years old,
Dude,
it was good till I was 65.
dude,
For real. Yeah. So,
that's a jip.
Arizona I know, right? It's like they're like, "You're good. You don't have to prove anything, but when you're 65, we wanna see you again to make sure you can still drive." Like, fair enough, right? So so I'm sitting in the DMV and, it's pretty normal, and then somebody comes in, and this guy comes in and, he's kinda rough looking. He looks like he's had a rough day and may have, like, slept under the stars that night. You know what I mean? And so he sits across from me, and out of nowhere, I start feeling anxious. My leg starts bouncing, and I'm like, "What in the hell?" Like, I was feeling, like, just fine and confident, like, I haven't even, like, partaken in any, medicinals, for, like, a day or 2, like, I know I'm sober as can be, like, "What's going on?" And then I look over across me, and the guy across me, his knee is just going a million miles an hour, and I'm like, "Oh, that's you." So I was like, "Nope, I don't want that, I don't want that." And then when I got called up, I told Spirit, I'm like, "Please get me in front of somebody that's gonna make this easy for me." And when I got to the booth, there was the woman there, and at first she looked kinda disheveled, and I was like, "Oh, man, I wonder if she's having a bad day." And so she's like, "How can I help you?" And I was like, "Oh, I need to renew this." And she looked at it and she goes, "Okay." And then I look over and see this sign on her cubicle, and it talks about how just being a good person can brighten up your day and others' day. And I was like, "Oh, okay. I see you." I was like, "You're my people. I like that." And so I just like sparked up a conversation with her, and like we were having fun just talking and laughing. And, she punched I didn't have to fill paperwork out. She, like, punched everything in the
Nice.
computer, right? She typed on the computer, and she's like, "Oh, that's 54 bucks." And I'm like, "Damn, but alright." So I paid my 54 bucks, and then she's like, "Let's go get your picture." So I go sit down. I had to take a new picture, and she's like, I was smiling. She goes, "You got a smile bigger than that." I was like, "Damn it." So I gave her a smile, right? Took my picture. And when I left there, I realized I didn't even have to take an eye exam. I was like, "Hell yeah. I didn't." All right.
See, my license, like, I have to be wearing my eyeglasses when I drive, so I just, like, it's just a general rule that I wear my glasses anytime I leave the house. It also works that they've got, like, the sun
Mm,
they
yeah.
what is it called? The shifting lenses where you go
Yeah, the
outside and they turn
transition.
dark, and yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
I love them. I
Oh,
love
yeah,
them
I bet,
indeed.
for sure. My
Um,
eyes are good, but it was a good experience, and it was quick. But yeah, I realized in that moment, because and that's what the main point of the story was, is
yeah,
the fact that like I felt somebody else's energy, and I started like letting it pull into me. And as a projector, I just pull energy anyway, so it's just normal for me. But I was allowing it to like influence my own feeling, and that's where I had to be like, "Whoa, like, nope,
that's
like
cool.
you keep it," and I'm chill, I'm good, and so if you guys feel that way, you can easily disconnect yourself from someone. It's like
Yeah. It's
you don't
the
even
white
have.
bubble the white bubble trick. That's what I always default to is,
That's a good
like,
one.
if my space feels really invaded by anybody else's, like, energy or emotions or whatever, it's like,
Yeah, for sure.
namaste. Like,
Right. And don't sit there and try to figure out who it is or where it's coming from, because
just,
that's just
yeah.
gonna just be like, "You know what? I don't wanna feel that. You can have it back. I'm gonna keep on moving, and I'm
Yeah,
gonna
just
redirect my energy somewhere else."
just let it
Um,
go.
but here's the thing about human design, guys. Here's another thing, because I found this today. Some people actually have a gate that they are an investigator, or like a mystery finder. And so they're like, those people who they just can't let, if the vase in the house gets broken, they're not gonna let it go until they have an answer of who did it, rather than being like, "Yeah, that sucks. Why did that happen? Okay, don't do it again." But it's like I have to
Yeah.
have every detail about it. Well, there's people in their human design that have a gate that just makes them like, I have to know. So, don't
That
get
sounds
mad
like
at.
my littles.
They probably have that gate. Like, "We're
Like,
gonna investigate this until we have every evidence to
oh,
incriminate you
yes.
for life."
Oh, yes.
Yeah. And
Um,
then
so
if you owe 'em money, they're the mafia too, so don't ever borrow money from your little kids either. You're paying that back with interest.
sometimes I feel like I'm running the mafia in this house. I'll be I'll
You're like,
be
Here's your 20 bucks and a bag of Skittles. Are we good? Yeah? Alright, cool. M&M's too? You know what? I
oh,
happen to
man.
have those, and some Sweet Tarts."
Right, right. Oh man. So our inner child challenge this month in light of it being suicide awareness month was that we were going to reach out either to someone that we knew was in need or for ourselves because we're in need. I did both actually. Um, I've been reaching out to my personal support group quite a bit because this diagnosis is very new and I'm still like digesting it and trying to get used to like all the changes that my doctor is, putting in place. And it's been exhausting and frustrating. So I've been like, doing morning coffee with my mom and my sister on FaceTime because they have chronic illnesses too, and like I can talk to them about it. And then I also had a friend that was in a really bad spot, and I heard that they weren't doing well. So I hit him up and I was like, hey, you know how are you? How can I be there for you? And she just needed to talk. So sometimes that's all it takes is feeling like there's someone out there who will listen.
Yeah. Um, what's interesting is like I had last week a session with someone to connect them with their departed family member, and it
Oh,
was yeah, and they've been struggling a lot since the departure,
that it's
and
it's hard. That
yeah,
that that dis-
absolutely.
disconnection is so hard sometimes.
Yeah, and so for me, I could tell when I was connecting with them that they were in a very like rough place in their own life, and I could tell that those messages that they needed were really important for them to hear.
Yeah.
But like the session went on longer than normal, but I could just tell that the whole family like really needed that.
I do that when somebody is just like they need extra time and I have it. I throw the clock out and I just sit there.
Yeah, right. And then after, I want to say it was like I don't know, like 4 to 5 days after the session, I was just sitting there doing actually, it was the other day when we were sitting there, talking about the podcast and all the information and everything.
Oh
I
yeah.
just had yeah, I just had this feeling to reach out to her, and, I reached out to check on her and her and her grandson and talk to them, and, um, and so for me, it was just like spirit was calling me to do it. I could tell.
Mm.
They were just like, "Hey, reach
I
out,"
get
and
I
so
get those nudges, yeah, where
yeah,
someone's just
so
really heavy on my mind, and I'm like, "I need to contact them for some reason."
Y yeah, right, and so it was like, for me, being able to do that was just like I knew it was like, yeah, they need it, like, I'm being called to it, being drawn to it, however you wanna look at it,
Yeah,
so just when if you ever feel that moment, you're like, "Man, I should probably reach out to this person."
do it.
Don't do
Yeah,
it. Don't say, "Oh, I'll do it later." Just take the moment to reach out to them, even if it's a simple text message, "Hey, just wanted to check on you, see how you're doing." And
yeah,
if it needs to go into a deeper conversation, be like, "All right, cool, I'll call you and, let's figure out a time that we can call and talk." But
yeah.
that way they know that there's somebody out there, right?
That's a really common, like, sign of communication from the spirit or spirit in general is, like, if someone's really heavy on your mind or really heavy on your heart, that's like that nudge to, "Hey, this person needs you."
Yeah. I've been experiencing like those kind of things a lot lately. Like either I think of something and it happens, or I speak something into existence and it's just like right there, or you think about somebody and they contact you, or you just feel like I need that contact to them.
Yeah,
So I've been trusting myself a lot more to go down that journey of just like reaching out, which is that confidence in us, right?
yeah,
So, it's I've noticed that when I have done it, it's made a whole world of difference because that person really needed that in that moment. And if I
yeah,
had put that off, then they may not have gotten the confidence boost, the reminder, the pep talk, the unconditional love that you gave them, whatever it is that they needed and you gave them, they may not have received it. And so that would just make their journey harder too, because they're now making decisions based off of emotions rather than that one lifeline that they're asking spirit for, who is now coming to you saying, "Hey, your buddy needs you,"
Right.
but they won't call you themselves. And so
Right.
that's like that third party, you know, just trust in that inner voice to direct you, and don't procrastinate.
Right. Yeah. My screen is black for some reason. I'm having technical difficulties over
Uh,
here. Oh,
I
well.
guess that's them saying it's time to go.
Yeah. All right. As always, there's some really good articles to read about self confidence and the childhood effects on confidence and ways to begin building your own confidence up. And then we also have the link for our Facebook group in there. So check out the articles, give them a read, come join us on Facebook, and we will catch you guys on October 10th for self esteem and self worth.
Absolutely. Have a wonderful night, everybody.
Night, guys. Bye.